G'day folks, here's the first of a two-part series of looking at my top 30 favourite Swedish death metal bands. This is the second batch, the 16 to 30 range. G'day folks, welcome back to the channel. This is the first of a two-part series of looking at my favourite Swedish death metal bands, and there's a lot of them. So I'm doing 30 all up. Probably could have done like 40 or 50 really, to tell the truth. It's one of my favourite styles, that's for sure. So yeah, this is the second batch of them, the 16 to 30 rankings. The rankings are, well, a bit stupid really. I mean, there's the really top favourite ones are definitely my favourites, but it's really hard. It's like picking your favourite child really. But so yeah, as with my usual ones, this is only one release per band. This is mostly albums, but there's a few bands on here that don't have an album. They only had like EPs or demos or something or other. So, it is what it is. No grind in this one. Well, sort of, mostly. So yeah, there's no like Regurgitate or Bird Flesh or Ass Destroyer or anything like that. This is, as you may have gathered, I'm a seasoned gentleman, let's just put it that way. So I've been around a while, so this is mostly old stuff, to tell the truth. There is a batch of stuff that is older than 2000, but yeah, honestly, the majority of it's from the 90s. So, and yeah, there's really a lot of Swedish metal bands, that's for bloody sure. When you go through Metal Archives, it's quite ridiculous, really. So yeah, there's a ton of Swedish death metal ones, and originally I was going to try and get a bit of everything, but then I thought, nah, I'm just going to do this of the ones that I listen to the most and enjoy the most. So, maybe some notable ones left out of this, let's just put it that way. Yeah, I will give props to this wonderful tome. This is a Swedish death metal book by Daniel Ekeroth. Yeah, this is a legendary book. I've read it multiple times. It's got a lot of stuff in it. You know, a full history of Swedish metal as well, not just death metal sort of things. So, you know, you get all sorts of bits and pieces. I would highly recommend this one. You get a ton of old flyers and stuff. The back, like, 180 pages or something is just each band listed, bands you've never heard of that just, oh yeah, they did like one demo and that was it sort of thing. So yeah, great bloody book. There's a CD version. I think there's a record version as well. I mean, this is like 3 CDs with tracks from each of the early sort of death metal bands. It's from like 2008, I think, so nothing newer obviously, but yeah, a legendary piece of equipment for your Swedish death metal fan, that's for sure. As I do each band, I'll try and show where they all are located in Sweden. I mean, honestly, half of them is Stockholm. So yeah, Stockholm and Gothenburg are the biggest cities of Sweden. So yeah, there's a lot of bands from there, but there's a lot in between. I was never quite sure on exactly where everything was in Sweden. So it's been an eye-opener, and sort of looks far, but I did the old Google Maps thing. It's only a 5-hour drive between Gothenburg and Stockholm. I thought it was way wider. I don't know, I'm used to Australian distances that are ridiculous, you could say. So, unsurprisingly, there's nothing too far north as far as the bands that I'm picking. There are some north of Stockholm, but yeah, I don't know how much actual civilization there is really far up north. I mean, you get into the Arctic Circle. So, interestingly, none of the bands that I like are from Malmo. This is like third biggest city. I went through all the bands listed there. I only recognised like Obscurity, which is old death metal band that I don't really know, and Sewn Shut that I do know. It's like grind band. So yeah, I mean, they have a lot of bloody bands in Sweden, that's for sure. But yeah, for some reason, not many known death metal ones from Malmo. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, it's been interesting to see though, and yeah, it is tempting to do a Scandinavian trip at some stage and go through some of these towns. Why not? Could be fun. As usual, I'll play a snippet of each band before I discuss them, so yeah, let's get into it. Alright, first up at number 30 is Darkified with their Cthulhu Wraiths compilation. This is actually a compilation of their Dark demo from 1991, their Sleep Forever EP from 1992, and some live tracks from 91 and a rehearsal track. So yeah, this was a very short-lived band and sorry, I'll read these titles and I'll probably be pronouncing them wrong. Söderkopping, which is kind of southwest from Stockholm. Yeah, they were from there. They were only around from 1991 to 92. So short-lived band, you could say. Originally, I got a copy of it from an old pen pal of mine, Amanda, or Valen, as I think she went by. Big Swedish death metal fan, that's for sure. She also gave me early Catatonia as well, which certainly sold me, that's for sure. I think I sent her like Alchemist stuff, maybe. So yeah, old pen pal from some message board from eons past. So yeah, these guys definitely not your standard sort of Dismember Entombed clones. There's a bit more sort of Therian, kind of grotesque kind of influences. The demo itself it's a bit simpler than the EP, I'll say that, but sort of primitive death metal, but with a bit of first wave black metal sort of style. Favourite songs on it are probably Summoned for the Nameless Horrors, which is, yeah, it's got some weird vocals. One of the highlights for me definitely is the vocals. They're just strange, that's for sure. Snarly, kind of crazed sort of bits. There's I think it's actually the outro, Out of the Darkness, from the demo. It's just insane ranting over like really nice mellow sort of, calm, tranquil stream kind of music, and then there's just this summon. I mean, they're big. It's called Cthulhu Riders. They're big Lovecraft fans, so I think it's like supposed to be summoning an ancient god or an elder one or whatever. So yeah, that's a definite highlight. The Forgotten City's another corker on it, and that actually gets redone on the Sleep Forever EP as well. It's definitely improved on that EP, but yeah, the EP itself has a much thicker sound, which really helps. So it's only got like 3 songs, one of which is like an outro anyway. So Sleep Forever, the song itself, is definitely a favourite, with a killer sort of melodic line, and yeah, a bit more of the early Therian sort of feel, like when they were a death metal band. The members of this band, the bassist was singer of Pandemonium, and one of my favourite Swedish metal bands. It'll definitely be in the second video, not this one. He was also in Edge of Sanity for an album, and I think Scar Symmetry as well. And the drummer of this band was also the early drummer and vocalist of Marduk, so they got around. Both of these were recorded at Gory Sound, which was like Dan Swano's studio in Finspång. So yeah, he actually does keyboards on it, which is a somewhat common occurrence for some of these albums that I'll be discussing today. Anything that he produced, he seems to do extra keyboards on. The live stuff on this is, yeah, it's pretty raw, you could say. It does have a nice Bathory cover of Into the Eternal Fire, so, which works quite well with their sound. So a real shame there was no sort of album from these guys. I don't know what happened. I guess they just moved on to other bands. But yeah, they were definitely advancing their songwriting skills, so it's a bit of a shame. So yeah, they're definitely a underrated sort of band. This compilation one is on Vic Records. I can't remember who put out the other one. The one that Valen sent me was called A Dance on the Grave, and it was the same compilation, just without the live stuff. And yeah, that certainly sold me. So yeah, number 30. Alright, up next we have Bloodbath with Resurrection Through Carnage. These guys are from Stockholm. Yeah, you're probably quite familiar with these chaps. They're getting pretty popular. Originally, I wasn't actually planning on doing any sort of the tribute kind of bands, but I really love this bloody album, and plus they've continued on. They've got like a ton of albums. So yeah, this is their early days. So it's like Dan Swano on drums, Jonas on bass, Anders also from Catatonia on guitar, and Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth on vocals. Yeah, pretty bloody all-star. Obviously big Entombed sort of fans. There's like notable nods on like, Death Delirium, I think. Not very subtle. Plus, I mean, I remember first time I saw Catatonia, they used to end with like just the start sort of bit of Demon, like the Entombed song off Wolverine Blues. It was always weird. They just played nice Catatonia stuff and then suddenly crank on bit of Entombed just at the end for the fun of it. But yeah, this one's their most sort of Swedish sounding, you could say. It's just total tribute to Entombed and Dismember and Carnage, all the good bands. They went very sort of Florida death metal after this, and yeah, it didn't grab me as much, to tell the truth. I mean, I still buy their stuff, I still enjoy it, but yeah, this one really sealed it for me, I think. I think it's really aided by the fact that they're all like seasoned musicians, so they know how to write a catchy, bloody memorable song. That's one of the keys, I think, is they're not kids. They know how to put stuff together so you remember it. They're all individual songs. They don't really blur together. Plus, I mean, it's got Anders doing his leads, Catatonia sort of style, like Soul Collector's just beautiful era of Catatonia for me. Sort of, Last Fair Deal kind of sound to me on that. And Ackerfeld sounds bloody great on this. There's no clean singing whatsoever. It's all just deep as hell, but really clear. He's got a great voice. So I'm kind of glad to see that he's growling a bit more on new opus, because it's wasted if he's not. Really good production from Dan Swano, who also did this. I don't know if he did keys on this, probably. And he's got a really good use of slow double bass. It's one of my favourite things that chunky metal bands do. Too many just go crazy Pete Sandoval sort of style, but I like it when it's slowed. It just gives it a bit more sinister sort of feel. There's killer riffs on Mass Strangulation. What's another one? I think Like Fire is probably my favourite one. Just that opening I Am Eternal bit. It's just so crunchy and tough. And I love watching this. This is the Varken Carnage DVD that they put out. Because when they play that song, it just pans to the crowd, and there's Varken's 70,000 people or whatever, and you just see a sea of heads just banging away. It's beautiful to see. Death Delirium's another catchy as hell one, and the ending song, Cry My Name's bloody good ending. Nice melody and verse sort of riff. It's just classy stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to have this one. It's limited early fancy red vinyl one. So yeah, it's killer bloody album. 29. Number 28 is Carbonized with Disharmonization. This is from 1993. These guys are also from Stockholm. This is very weird, sort of progressive death metal, you could say. Honestly, it's barely death metal. There's a lot of death metal bits in it, but there's a lot of other weird, God knows what's going on there, sort of bits. Groovy, funky bits, and alternative stuff, and Spanish guitar, and just, yeah, it's odd. Their first album is probably what most people would pick, and I have this crappy, bloody Russian, bodgy, probably bootleg cover of it. I'll put the real cover up because I love that cover art. It's beautiful. I do like that album, but yeah, it's a bit more normal sort of death grind kind of stuff, but this is just, out there, that's for bloody sure. So yeah, this is members of Therion, so Chris, the main guy from Therion, and the drummer Peter, who they had for a while, and also Lars from Entombed and Serpent and stuff. Yeah, they were the main sort of members, or the ones towards the end at any rate. And they did do a third album that's Alterno or something. It's not great. It's very weird, but yeah, this one's just crazy stuff. I think Lord of Damnation is this is a heavy one that we used to play on our old radio show. Spanish Fly's got just groovy bass and acoustic bits. It's really hard to describe these guys because it really is all over the place. There are lots of heavy bits with Chris doing his Tom G Warrior worship kind of style gruff vocals, but also some weird moaning sort of bits that is probably him also doing his Tom G Warrior moaning style vocals. And yeah, I mean, it's even got a amusing Geiger sort of rip-off cover, not by Geiger. So yeah, this is the first one on the list that is recorded at Sunlight Studios with good old Thomas Skogsberg. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. Who's, legendary dude in the scene. I mean, this sounds nothing like any of his other production work. It's wacky. It's sort of, which is never a great sort of descriptor for heavy metal stuff, but I kind of like wacky. Again, Pandemonium's one of my favourites, as is Alchemist, so yeah, wacky's fine by me, but yeah, this is not as good as either of those two bands, to tell the truth, but Night Shadows is a killer song. I think we used to play The Voice of the Slain Pig a bit as well. It's just, you really do have to hear it, and I've no idea what 8 seconds I will have picked for the start of this, but I'd highly recommend listening to this one before you buy it, because, yeah, it's odd. Definitely odd, and kind of weird coming from, like, Therian and Entombed guys. I mean, Therians had a wild journey over the years, but, yeah, it was never, none of the Therian stuff's anywhere near as weird as this, so, yeah, bit of strange. Number 27 is Interment with Scent of the Buried. These guys are from Avesta, which is kind of northwest from Stockholm. Yeah, this is probably the most recent thing on this. This is from 2016. This is their second sort of full-length album. Honestly, there's really nothing too original about this at all. I mean, it's like only 8 years old, but it's a whole lot of fun and just killer Swedish death metal, very Dismember sounding. I mean, these guys are old school as hell. They've been around since like 1988 when I think they were called The Beyond. And yeah, their demos are pretty friggin' legendary. I'd highly recommend picking up this one. What's it called? Where Death Will Increase, which is about about 3 demos on it, which are bloody awesome. I possibly would have picked this. It's a real shame they broke up before they did an LP in those days, because yeah, they would have been pretty bloody popular, I reckon, if they'd had a decent deal and, you know, got some exposure. They did reform in 2002 and put out, well, this album as well as a split with Funebrarum, which is where I first heard them and was, yeah, pretty blown away, that's for sure. Honestly, though, I prefer the newer album to the first album, but only just. I mean, the first album's a number of old sort of demo tracks. So, but yeah, it's just fun stuff. I don't know. It's perfect sound. Like this is the first proper Sunlight Thomas Skogsberg, you know, real chainsaw guitar sound. It's tough as bloody hell. Throaty vocals, and I mean, because it is only 8 years old, the production is really bloody good on it. You know, it's got your classic evil atmospheric sort of leads, killer D-beat sections. And just, yeah, smooth songwriting from, yeah, some guys that have been around a while. So really fluid sort of breakdowns and changes and stuff like that. I think it's Repugnant Funeral is mostly a fast ripper with killer breakdown. Rise of the Dead's got like a quite the nod to Carcass Symphony sort of style halfway through. And I mean, the title track's just chug heaviness sound on that is when they go slows is ridiculous. And I mean, I think it's Dawn of Blasphemy even has a bit of a Mental Funeral feel to it. Autopsy, which is no surprise whatsoever. Autopsy, obviously a large influence on the Swedish scene, as was Carcass as well. So, which is probably why I like Swedish death metal so much. I think it's 2 of my favourite bands, and merged together with the horrible chainsaw sound. What more do you need, really? And I mean, that cover art. By Juan Joe Castellano, apparently, and yeah, beautiful work. I think you get like fancy looking stuff on the inside and so on. So yeah, this is bloody killer. Underrated band. They don't hear anyone talk about them too much, to tell the truth. They're still doing the rounds. I haven't put anything out. Maybe like an EP after that, but yeah, I'm hoping they're still recording stuff, because yeah, this is freaking killer. Number 26 is Karmos with their self-titled album. These guys are from Stockholm. This is from 2002. So this is not your normal sounding Stockholm mid-pace sort of death metal. This is faster and more furious, kind of like your Vomitory or Sinister. Even has a bit of it sounds a bit like Christian to me in parts. Maybe slightly less blasty and a bit sort of Deicide-ish. So yeah. As you can tell, I like the slower, groovier kind of death metal style from Sweden usually, but yeah, occasionally I like it fast and nasty, that's for sure. And these guys, beautiful stuff. Really nice snarling sort of bass and just powerful, raw sort of style vocals. I've actually had this on CD for donkey's years, but this one I saw in Repressed Records for $14 in perfect condition, so be an idiot not to do that. But yeah, these guys, really not much melody, just riffs. I think it's the first song, Corpus Vermis, is it's just ripper, unrelenting rage. Chem's really good as well. I think it's Doom of Man, maybe. It's just got this weird, somewhat similar to Darkified, with like weird invocation going on in a strange language. I don't think it's Swedish, but it just kind of reminds me of, like, you know, the second Indiana Jones movie where they're like sacrificing people. It's a slow sort of song and a kind of a good respite. I think it's Cries of the Damned is another sort of slow one which finishes the album well. If you're wondering, Karmos means polar night in which is where the night goes for 24 hours in Arctic Circle certain times of the year. So strangely, Messiah Markland is one of the engineers on this album, like the Candlemass singer. I guess gotta do something when you're not singing for Candlemass. Sadly, they only did like 2 albums and an EP and then split. I really need the second album, Lucifer Rising. I've heard it, but don't actually own that, so I think I'll have to track that one down. But yeah, this one, friggin' ripper.
Molestation of the dead, fucking with a coffin.
Number 25 is Repugnant with Epitome of Darkness. This came out in 2006. These guys are from Stockholm. And yes, this is the Ghost band, or the band with the main guy, whatever his name is, from Ghost. I think also the bass player on this was in Ghost on the first album, as well as one of the Nameless Ghouls or whatever. Yeah, this does not sound like Ghost. This is definitely the thrashier kind of end of your Swedish death metal, with a bit of punk energy as well. Like, yeah, this is pretty close to the real early sort of style of Nihilist and Dismember, like their demo sort of era. It's a bit of a Repulsion feel. But yeah, catchy as hell, death thrash sort of stuff. I think it's Eating from a Coffin and Voices of the Dead are just catchy as buggery. There's some slightly odd sort of moments on here. I think it's Hungry for the Damned as a solo that, I don't know, I'd put down to having a bit of the Ghost theatrics to it. It's weird. It's not just all raw fury. I mean, this is really not particularly long. There is like I think the cover of the Morbid song, Another Vision, is pretty classy. But yeah, I saw these guys at MDF one year. I don't remember a single thing from it. I don't know, I watched them, so yeah, a few too many beers that day possibly, who knows. And yeah, this one, a winner for the worst cover art of tonight. It's what's going on there? It's like some skeletons, weird throne or something, some power lines in the background. This is like credited with like Mary Gore, as he calls himself in those days, and like Eric Danielson from Watain are both credited with the art on it. It's like, oh, I would have put my name on that. That'd be an Alan Smithy one for me. So yeah, this is killer bloody stuff. As I said, nothing like Ghost. Just rage and death thrash. Love it. Number 24 is Gourment with The Ending Quest. This is from 1994. These guys are from Necrophobic, sort of southwest of Stockholm. Yeah, I was a bit late to these guys, to tell the truth. Even though I've owned like this compilation, which came out on like Necroharmonic and Morbid Wrath. I had this for like 20 friggin' years or something, but for some reason didn't really listen to it much. Probably because that cover art's bloody awful. But I don't know why I didn't, because it's really up my alley, this sort of stuff. It's just pretty straightforward mid-paced death metal with some sort of doomy elements to it at times. Really reminds me of sort of early Amorphous, kind of like Thousand Lakes sort of era, especially the vocals on the first song, My Ending Quest. It's like, hey. And yeah, the Memorial and the Lost Breed both have killer melodic lines in them as well. So it's bloody good quality stuff. There's a bit of a sort of Paradise Lost feel to it, of Sea of Silence and Obsequies of Mankind as fast ripper with some amazing bloody riffs. Honestly, the more I listen to this, the better it gets. So yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself. I haven't been blasting this for that much over the last 20 years. There is actually this version comes with like all demos and other bits and EPs and stuff. There is I think a Century Media version that has slightly more, but yeah, I'll stick with this one. Fortunately, this is the only album they did. They split like a couple of years later. They did a band called Piper's Dawn straight after it, which was kind of like gothic doom power metal sort of. It's weird. They got like a 3-song EP that all the songs sound totally different. It's weird. But yeah, this bloody album, that's a ripper. Definitely, if you haven't heard Gourment, definitely check them out. Bloody awesome. Number 23 is Morbis Kon with Sleepers in the Rift. This is from 2011. These guys are also from Stockholm. This is probably the most recent band on the list that didn't like form in the late 80s or early 90s. Sadly, they only lasted 2 albums and split in like 2015, but in 2020 I think they got back together as Swedeath, which is the name of the second album. Yeah, it's oddly, I mean, it's Swedish Death Metal obviously, hence the video, but this is an oddly hollow sort of sound. Kind of reminds me of Autopsy and Obliteration, like the Norwegian band, I think. Yeah, Autopsy partly for the vocals, but also for some riffing. I think it's the beautifully titled Creepy Creeping Creep. That's a ripper song. One of the standouts on this is definitely the vocals. They get this sort of tormented, anguished, urgent sort of feel to them. And interestingly, the guitarist is the brother of Nicky Anderson, even though he's like 20 years younger. I'm guessing dad remarried maybe. Some weird sort of technical sort of riffing on, I think it's Hymns to a Stiff. I don't know, there's a good chunk of humour going on in these guys. As usual, I haven't bothered reading the lyrics, but I'm sure they'd probably be somewhat amusing. They've got some interesting song titles. Some reason I didn't really get into their second album, Swedeath, just quite as much when it came out, but it sounds pretty bloody good now, so it's a bit more polished and proggy and nice, classier, so not quite my thing, but I might as well show it off. I've got a pretty bloody 10-inch as well, which Saunter Through the Veils is pretty bloody nice. So yeah, killer band. Kind of reminds me of Soulside Journey a bit, especially on Hymns to a Stiff. It's, I don't know, it's just a touch of weird technical, but not too technical sort of thing. I don't know. Great band. Sorely missed. So I don't actually have that Swedeath, like their new band album. I might have to check that one out, I think. Number 22 is Seance with For Never Laid to Rest. It's from 1992 there from Linkoping. Yeah, as you can tell, I don't own this one. I really need to track it down. For some reason I always kind of thought I did, but obviously not. These guys are one of several Swedish bands that really wear their American influences on their sleeve. Their sort of Florida and New York sort of style. Definitely reminds you of Deicide and a bit of, your Sinister sort of style as well. So yeah, no Sunlight Studios, no old mate Skogsberg on this one. Very clear sort of sound. Could also almost be Morrisound sort of style. But yeah, it's still a great sort of swarming hive of bees guitar sound in parts, and I like it. They kind of gets a little odd with this loud, twangy bass and sort of some hanging notes that they don't really use quite enough, I don't think. Vocals are just very forceful and powerful. Drums probably the highlight for me, I think, is dude's going off, that's for sure. Reincarnage, first song's probably my favourite one here. I think just muscular riffs, tough as hell. Sin's another bloody ripper. Yeah, they kind of slow it down with Necrophobic, which just kind of drags, to tell the truth. Yeah, I think this is the first one with the first of many Dan Seagrave cover art on this one, so I always kind of like this one, but I don't know what For Never means. It's not a great use of English, that one, but anyway. Honestly, I've never even heard their second album. They split after, like in 1998, but reformed 10 years later, and have a third album as well, which I also haven't heard. I probably should remedy that, but this one, yeah, tough, very, very American sounding, but yeah, they do it well. Number 21 is Eternal Darkness with Total Darkness. Yeah, this is this band and the next two ones are in a category I call the super heavy section. It's just ridiculously detuned, all sort of death doom kind of bands, just with super thick guitar sounds. It's just stupendous. I love it so much. I'm a huge fan of ridiculously heavy, bassy sort of stuff. The Swedes have a few, but yeah, as do their Scandinavian brothers Finland with like Ripukulo and Mythos and yeah, a batch. Obviously, everyone was quite familiar with good old Bolthrower, Realm of Chaos, and Rotrevor as well, because yeah. But yeah, these guys, really gloomy sort of feel to their music. It's, yeah, kind of reminds me of Winter, like the old New York band. Just nasty, horrible sounding. It's great. It's a bit clunky at times. I mean, this is like, I think it's 2 demos, an EP, and an unreleased album as well. So, yeah, it's all from like early 90s, 91, 92 sort of thing. So, yeah, they have like clean guitar that doesn't always work so well, but I think that's the Doomed 1992 EP is probably the superior one, and it's just best sound and just really tasty death doom. Really good lead sound and just oppressive sort of atmosphere. It's nasty. This also has their unreleased album, what is it called? Sorry, Twilight in the Wilderness, which was recorded in 92. But they got dicked around by Necropolis Records, and I don't think they were the only ones in that boat, unfortunately. So, yeah, they have reformed in 2019, I believe, and are doing gigs. I really don't know much about this band, to tell the truth. You don't hear a giant amount about them, but yeah, according to Metal Archives, one of the guitarists was murdered. I think it actually says it in the liner notes that he was killed. I don't know what the hell happened, but I think that sort of killed the band off pretty much back in the day. So, but yeah, it's ridiculously heavy. It's beautiful stuff. Number 20 is Crypt of Kerberos with the Macrodex of Wars. This is another compilation. Yeah, this is another super heavy band from Eskilstuna. God knows what's in the water there. Bloody hell. I'd say they were probably mates and geeing each other up to get even heavier and more ridiculous. But yeah, this is, I think they started as Macrodex, who was a bit sort of thrashier, but yeah, quickly formed into nasty, horrible, very, very heavy death metal. Yeah, this is a compilation of their, I think it's about 2 or 3 demos, a couple of EPs and some rehearsal tracks. This actually came out on Bleed Records. It's like Melbourne record label, so good work. Yeah, they're one of the very early, very nasty sort of ones. Unfortunately, after a while, they learned to play their instruments, which is, yeah, a shame. Because, yeah, as it just gets a bit lighter as it goes on. The first demo, like Demo 1 from 1991, is, yeah, the first, like, 4 or 5 tracks is my favourite by far. It's just filthy, sludgy sounding. It's bloody horrible, as Mark G would say. It's so ridiculously heavy. It really does rival Realm of Chaos for stupidly heaviness. Devastator's just got a massive thumper riff. Yeah, Sacrifices, another one that's just a lumbering beast and probably my favourite song on here, I'd say. I mean, the EPs sort of work as bloody killer as well, as is the second demo, but that first one, something about it. I remember when I think I must have downloaded it first, and just second I heard it, I'm like, holy crap, that's heavy. I need to buy that. I'm pretty sure I actually had to pester Marty from Bleed to send me a copy of it because I couldn't find it anywhere. And yeah, when I listen to this CD, once I hit, I think it's track 13, that's when we get to the later, more proggy sort of stuff. It's just like, skip. I skipped to the last 2 songs. It's the 91 7-inch. For some reason put right on the end. It's not in date order. Most of it's in date order except that last 7-inch. I suspect it was put on the end because it sounds like shit. But I mean, the songs are great. Just the recording. I mean, it's heavy as hell, but the songs are just the recording quality is not amazing on that one. This has actually been re-released by the Crypt, and I'm kind of sad I missed out on the vinyl of that because, yeah, it ain't cheap now. It's like 3 LP box set. I really don't need it, but what the hell. I don't have any original stuff of these guys, except for, unfortunately, their proper album, World of Myths, which is not the worst album of all time, but yeah, it's their later, more progressive style. He's kind of trying to sing a bit, and there's iffy vocals, and yeah. It's not my thing, let's put it that way. I know a lot of people that really love it, and I was very tempted to buy the reissue of it recently because the cover art was kind of cool, but I was just like, I have the original CD and I don't like it, so why would I buy a record of it? But yeah, this just ridiculously heavy. It's beautiful. Every time I put it on, I just a massive grin on my face. It's just stupid. Love it. Number 19 is Moondark with the Shadow Path, and this is from 1993. These guys are from Avesta. Yeah, this is the last in my super heavy category. I love this one just as much. It's ridiculous. Yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure it's like a side project of Interment, with there's like 3 band members in them from Interment in these guys, but playing different instruments. And musically, on the back, it actually says, special thanks to Crypt of Kerberos and Eternal Darkness for inspiration and musical guidance. So, yeah, got some fanboys, that's for sure. Yeah, this is, I think these guys went on to be in, like, Della Morte, which, yeah, it doesn't grab me anywhere near as much. There's a couple of like, Catatonia guys in this as well, so, but yeah, more super detuned, a bit more groove than Crypt and Eternal Darkness. Yeah, just mostly mid-paced, but just chunky as hell. No fancy tremolo, no bloody, wanky melodies, just riffs. Thick as hell bloody riffs. Vocals are just super deep as well, and yeah, a bit sus possibly, but I don't. If there's a bit of studio trickery, I approve. I don't care. Yeah, this is another one that I think I downloaded a track of or so, or maybe I heard it on YouTube and just went, whoa, holy crap. 2 seconds in, I'm like, I need this bad. Favourite songs are probably the Inside the Crypt and the title track, The Shadow Path as well, but yeah, there's nothing bad on here at all. I think it's Trespassing into the Abyss. I don't know if it's got vocals, but it's just got like this samples from like Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me, which including Laura's scream, which is like, I don't know, big Twin Peaks fan, and yeah, when that woman screams, I get chills, because yeah, it's a very effective show. It's just so bloody thick. It's ridiculous. This is like just one demo that they did. This is all they ever recorded, but I'm pleased to say, I just saw on Facebook recently, I think they're going to record a new album at some stage. They no longer have the original bass player and vocalist, which is a shame. They've got the guy that now sings for October Tide. So hopefully they'll try and keep the ridiculously detuned spirit alive. I also have this on CD, which I think I got this one first. This is for some reason on No Colours, like a record label that mostly does black metal, but oh, fine by me. Yeah, I'll put up a flyer for Finnish Death Metal Maniacs Fest, I think next year, which has got, Moondark, Eternal Darkness, and Repugnant. Oh, it's tempting to start saving now for it. Oh, Jesus, that lineup, bloody hell. So yeah, this is, if you like any heavy, slow death metal, definitely check out all 3 of these bands, Moondark, Eternal Darkness, and Crypt of Kerberos, because yeah, you won't be disappointed.
Through the shadow of an evil shade away,
Number 18 is Symmetry with an Evil Shade of Grey. This came out in 1992. These guys are from Boras, which is kind of down near Gothenburg, which kind of makes a bit of sense for their style. I could have sworn I own this one as well, but apparently not. I do own their second album, Godless Beauty, unfortunately, because I can see why this one was in the shed. Yeah, I hadn't listened to it for a while, and it ain't my thing. It's after this first album, they kind of morphed into a, kind of gothic, doomy kind of band that, I don't like much. And yeah, that Godless Beauty has, trying to rip off Paradise Lost, trying to sing sort of style, that just doesn't really work. First album, bloody killer, that's why it's on this list. It's, good quality Sunlight, Skogsberg sound, but it's kind of weird, kind of slithery guitar sound. I don't quite know how to describe it, it's odd. But yeah, it works pretty well. These guys have a bit more melody definitely than the last 3 bands, that's for sure. Scars has just got some haunting sort of leads to it. There's still plenty of your usual Swedish death metal tropes, galloping beat on side reel passing and so on. But they just have a classier kind of feel overall, a bit of your kind of Therian, Tiamat, or bit of amorphous as well. They've got keyboards a bit. It's sort of that classic sort of early 90s, minimal kind of use that actually works really well here. Vocals are mostly sort of gruff, death metal-y sort of style. You can sort of sense the later sort of style occasionally. It gives it, I think it's Nightmare Lake, has a bit of a kind of Tiamat kind of feel to it. And yeah, where the Rivers of Madness stream has got a killer bloody groove to it. It's, yeah, I definitely need to track this one down. I think it's Black Mark, I think it came out on. So yeah, one day I'll get this one. Yeah, bloody awesome. Number 17 is Necrophobic with the Nocturnal Silence. This came out in 1993. These guys are also from Stockholm. This is classy, somewhat melodic death metal. Kind of your Dissection or Sacramentum kind of feel to it as well. After this, they did turn black metal, and you can... I mean, this is still pretty damn death metal, but there's hints of what's to come, put it that way. This is the only full album with like a Black Moon, David, I think his name was. He was later in Dark Funeral and Infernal. Yeah, I kind of prefer the vocals on this to the previous. Stefan from Crematory was on the demos sort of thing. He's just a bit deep, whereas this guy's a bit more, I don't know, varied, you could say. And forceful as well. It's not just... there's plenty of melodic death metal parts on this, especially on the first two songs, Awakening and Before the Dawn. Leads are pretty classy, but they're still pretty damn entombed-ish, I've got to say. But they do sound bloody good. Yeah, older songs on this are Unholy Prophecies and Inborn Evil are pretty more straightforward death metal. Like this, they're from like demos and EPs that they did beforehand. So yeah, this is kind of the classic first album sort of style of half demo songs, half new ones. The classic old pitch shifter comes out on, I think it's the Ancient's Gate. I blame, which is not the first one. I think both Entombed and Dismember also have some somewhat ridiculous pitch shifter action. Maybe Therion as well, possibly. I blame Carcass. It's all their fault. They toured Sweden a couple of times, I think, and obviously everyone was huge fans. Practically every friggin' band photo, someone's wearing a Carcass shirt in those days. So, yeah, I think is this one? Yeah, this one's Sunlight, Thomas Skogsberg as well. So, sounds friggin' killer. One thing I'll whinge about though, friggin' cover art's terrible. Oh, I don't know. It's iconic, I'll give them that, but yeah, that's from like Urban from Regurgitate, and Crematory did that one. They're obviously good mates with Crematory. I think there's a bit of band swap over, like band member swap over as well. So yeah, not my favourite cover art by any means, but bloody killer album, that's for sure. Alright, and the final one for this video is number 16, Hypocrisy with Obsculum Obscenum. I probably got that wrong. This is also from 1993. These guys are from Ludvika, which is one of the more further north of the cities of all these bands. Yeah, this is Peter Tagrin's band. You're probably well aware of that. These guys are, I'm pretty sure they're still going. They've got a lot of bloody albums, that's for sure. Honestly, I never had Penetralia, their first album, like not for many years, so I'm really not that familiar with it, but this one just beats it hands down. Penetralia's still got a bit of a kind of thrash kind of feel to it for me, and it's a bit clunky in parts, whereas this is just smooth songwriting. Just much better sound as well. It's just a bit more dynamic as well. It's not just sort of just fast and blasting. Does have a slightly weirdly thin sound at first. I mean, your ears adjust pretty quickly, but it sounds a little odd, but still damn heavy. But yeah, along with Seance, these are pretty damn American influence. I'm pretty sure, what's his name, Peter, lived in America for a while, maybe even played with like Malevolent Creation or something weird like that. So yeah, a lot of US death metal influence on this, but boy, yeah, they make it their own. Honestly, after this, I try and listen to Fourth Dimension, and yeah, it's boring. It does nothing for me. I really have to try the one after that, which I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, Abducted, I think. But yeah, this one's pretty much all I listen to. Hypocrisy. That's all I need. Yeah, the most impressive thing really on this probably is Massey Bromberg's vocals. Just humongous. Far out. Dude has a massive roar. This is a guy who was later in Dark Funeral as Emperor Magus, blah, whatever his name was. He was the singer for like, I don't know, a couple of albums or something. But yeah, in this he's just ridiculous. Pleasures of Molestation's a ripper start. Great dynamics. The title tracks are bloody awesome as well. Strangely, they cover like black metal by Venom, which actually works really well. That's odd. I don't know why. Just sounds slightly out of place, I've got to say, because yeah, the rest of it's like pretty bloody full-on death metal. Inferior Devotees has got, yeah, kind of your Therian choir kind of moments and a killer kind of weird solo. Honestly, I never realised this is like Wes Ben's got her artwork, and yeah, another one I'm not a fan of. Not his best work by any means. So, but yeah, this is the last one in this video, and friggin' heavy as hell, so quite fitting. Alright, so that's numbers 16 to 30 of my top 30 of Swedish death metal. I'd be happy to see other people's their lists as well. And I'm also curious as to what people think will be in my top 15. There's probably some somewhat obvious bands that'll be in there, but yeah, you never know what's not going to be in there as well. So I'm looking forward to doing the next one as well, because yeah, there's even more classic stuff that I've listened to a lot. As you can tell, I love Swedish death metal. Gets way too often listened by me, but and yeah, it has been quite the pleasure reacquainting myself with some of these ones. I think after this I'll probably at some stage do a Finnish death metal version as well, because yeah, I love my Finnish death metal as well. So probably won't be 30 of them maybe, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, keep an eye out. I'm going to try and do the top 15 sooner rather than later, because yeah, one of my favourite styles by a long way. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.